TIFU by going to the Eiffel Tower and getting my girlfriend and I tear-gassed, trampled, assaulted, and robbed. Carrot obligatory. This didn't happen today, but over the summer. Also warning some NSFW language. Carrot TL, Doctor first because it's long, went to Eiffel Tower to watch Euro 2016 finals, ended up in a riot because we ran late, got tear-gassed, girlfriend dislocated knee, her phone stolen, my nose broken, and our passports stolen. Background: my girlfriend, who we'll call Emily, and I were in Paris on the very first day of a month-long backpacking trip in Europe. We spent the whole morning smoking hash at Sacré-Cœur with some new friends, who told us that the Euro 2016 final between France and Portugal was that night. They told us to meet them to watch the game at the fan zone at the Eiffel Tower but urged us not to be late, otherwise we wouldn't get into the fan zone. Being jet-lagged and burnt out from the hash, we took a nap before heading down, but overslept by an hour. We figured we'd head down to the Eiffel Tower anyway and see what was going on. Whoops. The coconut up. Arriving at the Eiffel Tower we realize there isn't any fan zone to be found, or so we think. It turns out we are in the completely wrong place on the opposite side of the tower from the fan zone, and amongst a crowd of mostly troublemakers that is about to erupt into a riot. The first signs of chaos are a small group of youths antagonizing police underneath the tower, and when we see a massive line of riot police facing in our general direction, we decide it's time to leave. We make our way through the crowd. I hear screaming and look up in horror to see a smoking projectile sailing through the sky, headed right for us. The crowd around us scatters, knocking Emily and I down, where a tear gas canister blows up mere feet from our faces. Get up. We have to go. I'm screaming at Emily but I notice she's crying and screaming out in pain, not from the tear gas in our eyes but from the fact that her knee is so broken the thing might as well be on Mars. I throw her over my shoulder and go sprinting through clouds of tear gas out of the chaos and onto the Pont d'Aina bridge, where some guy snatches Emily's phone out of her hand. I turn and watch helplessly as the guy runs off into the crowd, Emily screaming he took my phone. Fuck the phone. I run as far as my arms/legs allow and then set her down. I need to get her to an ambulance, but I can't leave her to find one, so I need someone to help me. So I start screaming at the crowd around me for someone to help, forgetting that I am amongst almost nothing but riffraff of the worst variety. Nobody helps me or seems to give a cheesecake, so I pick her up and run as far as I can and set her down again. A crowd gathers ogling my girlfriend's knee and staring at me blankly as I shout banana they don't understand like 911. Ambulance. It's then I am disgusted to notice a hand reaching from Emily's purse to my back pocket, and I slap it away forcefully, standing up from a crouching position as I do so, screaming fuck out of here. I look into the eyes of the perpetrator, a young African guy who loads up and punches me in the face, shattering my nose. As blood spurts out of my nose I look at the guy and say with genuine bewilderment, "Are you banana kidding me?" He looks at me blankly like he is genuinely surprised to see me still on my feet and spitting profanity at him. I scoop up my girlfriend and start running for our lives. I'm now running on what I am convinced is just an infinite bridge of hell on earth. Brawls rage around us as my knees are starting to buckle, my vision blurring. I'm bleeding out of my head onto my girlfriend's lap who is screaming in agony from being carried around with a dislocated knee. I am pretty sure we are going to die. Suddenly I'm joined by our savior, a very large goofy-looking fellow, who begins helping me carry Emily and encouraging us in French or some other language which we didn't speak. It occurs to me that he could be trying to steal from us too, but at this point I don't even care. Our new friend's intentions turn out to be true, as he and his group of friends helped me carry my girlfriend to relative safety and helped me guard her while they got help. For a while I couldn't tell this part of the story without getting extremely emotional about this guy and his friends who stepped up to help us when everyone else was trying to take advantage of our situation. I'll never forget him. A bunch of paramedics pulled up in a station wagon, urging me to stay calm while they waited waited for an ambulance. As police pushed rioters further down the bridge in our direction, I begged the paramedics to just get us out of there in the car. With fear in their eyes and the situation escalating, they finally relented, carefully placing Emily in the backseat while I jumped in the trunk. They got us to a safe part of the city and asked us for our ID. It's then we realized that, as if we weren't having a bad day already, our passports had been stolen. We ended up at a hospital outside Paris, where they did a great job resetting my girlfriend's knee and didn't touch my nose, which was fine with me. It's still crooked. Luckily we were able to get emergency passports and continue on the rest of our trip, which was absolutely amazing. I still smell tear gas sometimes when I see Eiffel Tower pictures and trinkets. Good times. TL, drive, again, was late to the Eiffel Tower to watch Euro 2016 finals, ended up in a riot, got tear-gassed, girlfriend's knee broken, her phone stolen, my nose broken, and our passports stolen. Edit, since people are pointing out how I mentioned that the guy who punched me was African, which was for the sole purpose of illustrating the scene, I'd like to add that my entire day in Paris was spent hanging out with African guys who showed me more hospitality than I have found almost anywhere else in the world. I hung out with these guys that one day for like 6 hours. They talked to me a lot about just how poor and starving much of the African population in Paris is. I harbored a lot of anger towards the guy that punched me for a while, but I also understand the context of just how starving that guy probably was. People that are trying to politicize this, or turn it into some racist/anti-refugee talking point, or are leaving comments like "those thugs should burn in hell" should have a more nuanced perception of the world. Edit 2, if the alt-right folks that are trying to make me their racist champion just because I called the guy African would zucchini off, that would be great. Smile. Please keep your comments civil. Personal attacks, trolling, and bigotry will result in bans. Use your better judgment. Thank you for keeping r/TIFU a great space. Holy butternut. I was there too, showed up late and got in the midst of the riot, but I was lucky enough to get out of there without any injuries. This just reminds me of what could have happened. Oh, glad you guys are okay now. Found the guy who punched you, op. We did it. LPT, don't go anywhere near the Eiffel Tower anytime there's a big event. Source, live in Paris. This is probably the most metal TIFU I've ever read. Carrying your girlfriend through a riot in a cloud of tear gas before being robbed and having your nose smashed. Sorry to hear you had to go through that, and I'm glad to hear you guys are safe and sound now. That's called Tuesday in Paris. Fuck the phone pretty much sums up the situation. Glad you're safe. TIFU by drinking Starbucks. I'm currently in bed, huddled under the covers and riding out the shockwaves of trauma from this event. My first banana up was trying to cut out caffeine a few months ago. I succeeded, but also lost my tolerance for caffeine, was drinking an average of 8 espresso shots throughout the day. Today, maybe 2 hours ago, I went to a doctor's appointment. This appointment was in a huge hospital, one that had a food court and of course, a Starbucks. It was a mental health related program, so I was a bit on edge afterwards. I saw the sign for Starbucks and the clouds of depression began to life. Oh hell yes, the sweet nectar of life beckons to me. I get in line and order a medium-sized coffee, cream and sugar, something tame, I thought to myself. Not tame enough apparently. I got in the car and started to drive home. About 10 minutes away, I feel a bubbling in my gut. Oh boy. It's fine, I say to myself, I can make it home without incident. Oh, how wrong I was. While I had been focused on keeping my banana clenched, I had forgotten that nearly every road and intersection on my way home was clogged up by construction. Detours everywhere. Every time I thought I was getting close to home, I was forced to backtrack and drive a few streets over. At this point, I'm sweating and shaking, my legs are essentially vibrating, and I have no idea how I haven't passed out at the wheel yet. Then it hits me. The cramps. I got my banana period. In the car. Any person with a uterus will tell you how bad cramps are until they are blue in the face. I will do the same, because when I ovulate, I get cysts all over my ovaries due to PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Needless to say, it makes everything way more awful than it needs to be. My abdomen tightens up, trying to force all of the coffee afterbirth and uterine tissue out of me, but I resist. I will not zucchini my car, and I certainly will not bleed onto my seats. That zucchini isn't even paid off yet. I get rerouted for what feels like the millionth time, and finally I see it, a road to home with no construction. I step on the gas and swing around every corner with the gumption and moxie of an F1 driver. In doing this, I have butternut up again. I currently have an inner ear infection, and in my haste I have shaken up all the liquid in my cochlea. Vertigo. Vertigo like you wouldn't believe. To recap, I'm holding in a torrent of liquid regret, clenching my pelvic floor muscles to keep as much of my uterus inside of me as possible, and now I'm dizzy enough that I could no longer tell if my eyes were crossed or not. I fly into my driveway, throw my car in park and yank my keys out. I run to my porcelain throne as fast as my entirely clenched body would allow me, all the while bumping into things in my way because the vertigo hadn't gone away yet and I was effectively as coordinated as a drunk person. When I say it was a photo finish, I'm not joking. I started butternut before my butternut even hit the toilet, everything landed in the bowl toe. Thankfully, I was sitting there for, legitimately, nearly 45 minutes. 100% liquid. And it didn't stop for more than 3 seconds at a time. Once it was over I felt like I had run a marathon wearing lead boots. All of my energy was gone. I crawled upstairs on my hands and knees with the intent of getting in bed, but had to make a mad dash for the bathroom once again and do it all a second time. Finally got myself in the shower to rinse off all of my sweat and potential residue of my poor choices. And then had to stop mid-shower for a third round of misery. I feel another round coming, so this is probably the end of my post. TL, doctor, if you're drinking coffee and have to drive home immediately after, maybe butternut before you leave the coffee shop. Edit, thank you for the gold, stranger. I'm glad my story was deemed worthy. Edit 2, thank you for another gold and also platinum. To answer some questions, yes, I am staying hydrated. My mom bought me an absurd amount of Gatorade once she learned of my rectal exorcism. I also did not expect this to gain any attention whatsoever, but thank you for the upvotes and kind words. Smile. Edit 3 and 2 silver. Coconut, you're generous. Me and my burning insides, thank you. 3. Edit 4, tomorrow there may be a second TIFU in which I gripe about not posting this from my main account. Thank you for all the gold and silver and platinum, readers. I appreciate you. I'm not feeling quite alright, so my father might be driving me to the hospital. I'm sure I'm fine, but it's better safe than sorry. Final update, I went to my primary care doctor. It's not IBS, but apparently I am very much lactose intolerant. Makes sense now. Period cheesecake plus coffee cheesecake, and an ear infection? You are definitely having a bad day. My whole body feels like the sugar-free gummy bears review. Starbucks tends to tear up my insides. I always have to eat something before/while drinking it to lessen the bubble gut that inevitably occurs. On the flip side, I know what to drink if I'm having trouble pooping. Honestly had to run to the loo after reading this just to make sure. The pure pain of the beginning of a period and a grumbly tummy I'd about you all, but period zucchini are a real problem, was so avidly described I could feel the pain. Bless your little cotton socks and get well soon. This just reminded me of a post I should make. Let's just say you were luckier than I. Oof, I'm sorry friend. I hope your pants and your car seats are okay. TIFU by encouraging female coconut, NSFW. So I've been fooling around with this girl for a while now, and naturally we've cycled through all your standard vanilla kinks and things were starting to wind down a bit. This wasn't a big deal though, as neither of us is interested in anything more than casual zucchini, so there's no pressure to keep things fresh and exciting. That being said, a little bit ago she randomly messaged me saying she has something naughty to share and sends me cell phone footage of her with a vibrator doing some impressive coconut grade squirting. She goes on to talk about how excited she is for teaching herself how, and we proceed to make plans to explore this further. Next thing I know, she's zucchini in my face like a Chinese firefighter trying to extinguish a burning chemical factory while I'm right there dumping fuel on the flames. Now, before I get carried away here, I'll just say, I'm a nurse by trade, and I have no delusions about what's really going on. I can tell exactly where her juices are coming from, and I've made peace with the fact that the girl is pissing in my face while I go down on her, no big deal. So finally, to the point. She's been squirting in my face for a few weeks now and I've gotten enough in my mouth to know how it tastes. Most surprising thing about the experience is the fact that her piss didn't taste at all like I'd thought it would. Ranging from unflavored Gatorade to that bland tea they serve you at Oriental restaurants, that you dump sugar packets into. I thought it was a fluke at first, but after repeatedly testing this observation, I'm quite certain that her piss tastes sweet, sometimes blatantly so. The perverted side of me thought all this was kinky as hell, so I really didn't think on it too much until this morning. I just woke up and had a weird nurse's epiphany about it. Sweet urine, glucose urine, glycosuria. Jesus Christ. I'm a zucchini dumbass. I race over to my bag where I keep my backup glucometer for work, wake her bleary-eyed cheesecake up, and pricked her finger to check her blood sugar. 441. Fuck. Recheck. 453. Shit. Asymptomatic, but hyperglycemic as banana. She's got the diabetes. I broke the news as gently as I could, which was something to the tune of holy coconut. That's some serious coconut diabetes. Call your doctor. Hysterics ensued. So now she's out to the doctor's office and possibly the urgent care clinic for treatment, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out a good cover story for how I knew TLDR, TIFU by breaking some bad news to a girl after she squirted in my face and I diagnosed her with diabetes after realizing her piss was unnaturally sweet. Update, insert the obligatory omg this went supernova. 1. A serious note though, thanks for the Reddit cheesecake tilde. This has been a long day and I haven't felt this school on the internet since the time I used a voice modulator in an MMORPG to convince my guild I was a black guy. To bring things current, the girl is doing fine now. They've ran more thorough tests and strongly suspect she's a type 1 diabetic, but it'll take a few days and tests to confirm the preliminary results. She's got a lot on her mind. All I can think about though is how we went from casual banana buddies to irreversibly connected by the act of getting her piss in my mouth. Still, the response has been hilariously fantastic. While there's a lot of contention on whether this is a butternut up, I'll just say that a couple factors had stuck out to me personally that framed it like that, such as the fact that it took weeks for me to piece this all together, my majorly panicked reaction to it, and the resulting state of hysteria I had caused after scaring the girl half to death. That all kind of overshadowed the lucky guess I made, in my mind anyway. No longer though. Right now I feel like the banana man, thanks for helping me see the cloud's golden lining. I don't think I ever saw this episode of House. Spoiler, it's not lupus. Patrice O'Neal has a whole bit about this. We gotta go to the hospital, baby, your pee tastes like birthday cake. Q. What's the difference between a chickpea and a garbanzo bean? A. No one is interested in having a garbanzo bean on his face. You didn't zucchini up. You may have saved her life. Yeah, but he's been drinking beet juice this whole time. This would make a shockingly anticlimactic kinky nurse zucchini. Better love story than Twilight.